the message to these folks is a deterrence message. We want you to stop, and we want to provide you an off-ramp to get out of the violent lifestyle that you've been living. Please state, there's also caseworkers involved, follow up with them. There's a lot of details that I didn't hit in my highlight, but the message clearly also is, you know, we know who you are, and if you commit another violent crime, you're going to get the book thrown at you, because you've had multiple opportunities now to change your lifestyle, and you haven't taken those.
Excuse me if I'm a little nervous here. But first, let me start by saying that any solution that's adopted from Boston in the 1990s may require another tack, because during that time, the Boston Police Department was known for extreme racism and brutality toward the inner cities at that time, with all of the strategies that they implemented in the 90s. So we may want to think that, or rethink that. Also, the concept that we would bring violent offenders, people who have already served their time, people who have already paid their debt to the community, that we would in some way harass, interrupt their day, bring them to a place, and then demand that they either conform or receive some type of, basically a bounty on their head. Either you take our services or we're looking for you. That doesn't sound right. But to begin with, you said that the violence reduction plan, which began already, is a aggressive, overwhelming police presence. That's the way it's interpreted in multiple communities throughout the country. What does that mean? That means that cities and areas do not commit violent crimes. People do. However, when the police show up in these areas, they target the people. Why? Because they're looking for violent criminals. They're looking for the people. They already began the whole profiling thing. This was the problem with Memphis. This is why the Scorpion unit had a problem. They went to a certain section of the city and they automatically assumed that a large percentage of these people are the ones involved in the violent crime, because violent crime is taking place here. So what happened? A monster dealing with a monster has to become a monster in order to suppress it. That's what took place in Memphis. These are the type of proposals it looks like you're coming up with. Why? Because at the core of it, you have no community involvement. At the very beginning of your onset, you want to overwhelm the community with almost like when you do the grids and all of that, what it reminds me of is General Patton about to take a city. He's about to take a city. He's about to occupy it. He's about to regulate it. He makes it in the grids and he goes piece by piece by piece until he has already consumed all of the area that he plans to conquer. Once he does that, then he begins to re-indoctrinate the people with re-education determined by him. Who is to determine who has moral values in a community? Who says that the people there, or even the violent offender, has no morals? That's not his problem. Most of his problems are surrounding social issues, poverty, trauma-informed care, adverse childhood experiences. All of this trauma. So we need to look at these communities as if they, and the people in the community, for what they are. They're sick. They're not bad people trying to be good. They're good people that are sick trying to be well. So those underlying issues of trauma, especially substance use disorder. Substance use disorder drives violent crime more than any other element. It drives murder. It's at the very top percentage of why most murders are committed. The people are under the influence of either drugs or alcohol. So I think that at the very beginning of any plan that you want to affect a city like this, that you need much more community involvement in the first 90 days, the first 6 months. You can't overwhelm and suppress and then re-educate, because by that time, our communities don't trust you.
So, thank you for that, and I understand your points, but let me say this. First of all, your first point about Boston PD versus San Antonio PD, we are nothing like Boston PD. We're nothing like any East Coast Police Department, not to cast aspersion on all the East Coast Police Departments, but we are nothing like the Boston Police were back in the 90s. The second point, when the folks that are going to get called in for the third part of this, focused deterrence, they are all on under some type of supervised probation, parole. So they're not free from the criminal justice system at that point. They're still involved in it because of their what will be their current status. The primary point in bringing them is to have the service providers in the room, the moral voices, as Dr. Smith described, in the room. And it's simply to tell them, look, you have a way out of whatever it is you were or are still involved in. There's nothing, we're not browbeating anybody. We're not double punishing anyone. It's simply to bring them in, provide services, and just let them know, look, if you want to continue your criminal ways, then, you know, as Dr. Smith said, it's going to cost you. The services are here. People are here for you. Thirdly, we are not overwhelming any areas of the city with this plan. One patrol car with its lights on overhead. We do that downtown when we've got big conventions coming in. We have police cars on every other corner with their overhead lights on. This is simply to deter crime. It's nothing like Memphis. It's not a proactive tactic. It's simply high visibility. One car, one location for a few minutes, 15 to be exact, on certain days of the week. It's not overwhelming. We are not by any means trying to be like General Patton. We're not taking the hill. It's not proactive. We're not stepping out of the vehicle, stopping anyone. It's not stop and frisk. It's not, you know, hey, come here, give me some ID. It's none of that stuff. It is on, I use the word that Dr. Smith used to describe it the other day. It's a very, very light footprint where we'll be. And then after the 15 minutes, whatever day of the week that may be, whatever time of the day that may be, we're back to doing what we normally do on patrol or whatever the assignment may be that officer had. So I understand your points, and I can see how if it got that way, it would be an issue. But it's not going to get that way. I can promise you that. Thank you. I appreciate it.